Okay, here we are in the shop, and I've got a couple of motors for you. One is a small block Chevrolet motor, a V8 350 or a 5.7 liter motor. It is equipped with a timing chain. We'll take a look at that in a minute. And then we have a small inline 4 Toyota motor that has got a timing belt, and we'll take a look at the difference between those two so you can identify those. Now, as I mentioned before, the timing chain or the timing belt is always located on the very front of the motor. And so typically it will be covered by all of the accessories, the water pump, the fan belts, the alternator, the air conditioning, the power steering. All of those accessories would need to be removed to gain access to timing chains or timing belts. In this situation, obviously I've removed those in the interest of time so that we can get easy access to it. On this Chevy 350 motor, it's got a timing chain, so therefore it's got a metal cover. You can see it's got multiple bolt holes in here to help seal the gasket so that we could have an oil-tight seal there, because the oil, again, would lubricate the timing chain for longevity and to keep it quiet. And so therefore, we would remove the timing cover, and now you can see that there's a timing chain and gears here. Now, you'll also note that the camshaft gear is always much bigger than the crankshaft gear, okay? And we always know that the crankshaft is in the bottom of the engine block and is the very center power source, okay? The reason for this is critically important. The camshaft only rotates one time for every 2 revolutions of the crankshaft. And so therefore, we need to have a difference in the gearing size. Now, anytime that the timing belts or timing chains are serviced, they need to be serviced, and when they're reinstalled, we need to maintain the integrity of the mechanical timing. So therefore, we need to make sure that the camshaft and the crankshaft are in sync for mechanical timing. And there are marks that are either located on the gears to help us line that up, or on the engine block and cylinder heads, or a combination of both, and we'll take a look at those right here. So let's take a closer look at the small block 350. So you can see here on the Chevrolet motor, we'll get it in here close, that on the camshaft gear, you can see that there is a dot right there. And that is a alignment mark, is what we call those, on the camshaft gear. And then down here on the crankshaft gear, it's got a mark right there. Another big little dot on the gear. Now, for the Chevrolet motor, or to get the mechanical timing in sync, we would rotate the camshaft so that this dot is straight down, pointing straight down at the crankshaft. In turn, we would rotate the crankshaft to get this dot pointing straight up at the camshaft, okay? And so therefore, these two timing marks would be pointed directly at each other right here on the very bottom, facing each other. And once we have the camshaft and the crankshaft in the correct location, then we can install the timing chain, and our timing marks will be in sync. And so that's how we would replace or service the timing chain on a small block Chevy motor. Now let's take a look at the timing belt. Okay, on this Toyota motor, again, the timing belt is going to be behind this plastic cover. Now, it doesn't need to be sealed up because it's not lubricated with oil. We'll take a look at what the belt looks like. So, yes, we would typically take the front harmonic balancer and crankshaft pulleys off. We would take the timing cover off to gain access to the timing belt. There's 2 plastic pieces here on this cover, and now you can see that we have access to the timing belt. Now you notice that the belt looks just like a regular belt, other than it's designed, the material used to make the timing belt is just like the material they use to make serpentine belts. The design of the belt's just a little bit different. It's got some cogs in here to mesh with the teeth on the gears. So now let's take a little closer look at the belt and the timing marks on this Toyota motor. Now, as you can see, first we'll take a closer look at the belt. You can see that the belt has got timing cogs on it, or that's what they call cogs, and those cogs are designed to fit into the grooves of the camshaft and the crankshaft pulleys, therefore that timing stays intact. Again, we have a camshaft. This engine is an OHC, or an overhead cam motor, and so we have a camshaft sprocket is up here on the top in the cylinder head, and then it goes down to the crankshaft sprocket down here on the bottom. Okay, so now let's take a quick look at the timing marks. On this particular Toyota motor, the timing marks on the camshaft are up here on the top. And if we look closely, there's a mark right here on this sprocket, a line. And you can see on the cylinder head right here that there's a mark, a little pointer. And that pointer and this line need to be lined up straight up and down with each other. Now you can see on this particular motor that those alignment marks are not lined up, which means that the timing on this engine is probably not in sync. That is, if the mark on the crankshaft is where it needs to be. So we'll take a look at the crankshaft down here. Now you can see right here, see the pointer on the crankshaft pulley down here is pointed into a little notch in the crankshaft pulley. Now those marks are lined up. So if those marks are lined up and these marks up here are not, that means that our timing, mechanical timing, is not in sync, or it is off. And so therefore this engine, if it would not run very well, okay? It would run rough, or it may not run at all. It certainly will not pass the emission test, and the customer will complain of poor performance. So in this situation, this particular timing belt setup on this Toyota motor, we would need to remove that belt, get the mechanical timing in sync, and then reinstall the belt and then double check it. Okay? And so that is your lesson on timing belts, mechanical timing. The next lesson will be on the strokes of the motor, and that will help kind of tie all of this stuff together. Please do the worksheet. Certainly if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send me an email or a text message, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day and keep your hands clean.